Boker Tov, Rabbi Eric Solomon in Raleigh, North Carolina. Beth Myerson, I get some more morning Torah. This week's Torah portion is Emor. Comes from the book of Leviticus. Focuses primarily on the priests, the Kohanim. But in this Torah portion, one of my favorite lines is, it says, God commands us through Moshe, do not desecrate my holy name. Do not stomp on or make bad Shem Kodshi, my holy name. So, the rabbis will teach, or the biblical scholars will explain that the name of God had certain kind of powers unto itself, that saying God's name correctly, especially on Yom Kippur, for example, the priest said it once a year, clearly, that had a powerful effect on the Jewish people's ability to atone. So saying God's name correctly back in the times of the Torah had like a supernatural, spiritual, maybe even magical effect. So that's probably where it started. But the rabbis quickly interpreted that to make God's name great, or to not trample on it, or make it desecrate it, you have to do good behavior. In fact, there's a famous Talmudic passage which says, what's an example of desecrating God's name? Do a chilul Hashem, is if you don't pay the butcher on time. And someone was like, well, what? That's such a basic thing. Well, the idea is if someone doesn't pay the butcher on time, then it's not only is that a sin that you didn't pay properly, which breaks one Torah law, but you also make a bad name for yourself and all those that follow the Torah, especially rabbis, who don't do that behavior. It's also bad for Judaism. It's bad for the Torah. In a sense, you're bringing a bad name on God, got a bad reputation. So to desecrate God's holy name is also to desecrate those who stand in the name of God. And that really is, I want to just kind of bring home here. As a rabbi, I have the privilege of being involved in people's lives at different times. But one of them, of course, is funerals. And especially the hesped, or the eulogies that are offered, all we're left with in the end, when we're gone, is our name and our reputation and what people will say about us. Most people, 10 years, 20 years, 50 years, 100 years, their names will not be known. So the question really is, what do we do with our name, reputations, to the degree which is in our power, especially when we're no longer here, is what are they going to say about us? What will people say about us? And ultimately, that question is one that we might want to reconsider every week, maybe before Shabbat, certainly over the course of our lives and over the year. It's an important question to ask. When I'm no longer here, when someone's getting up and speaking about me at my funeral, all we're going to be there someday, what are they going to say? Will I've promoted and made my name and ultimately God's name greater? Or do people struggle to say things? That might be an important question to ask ourselves in important moments in life. What do we stand for? What do we want said about us? That's the way we honor God's name. Ultimately take our name and mesh it with God's name as well. Do not desecrate God's name. Let's hopefully lift up everyone's name. Shabbat Shalom.